Hi, this is Matt Bianca, and welcome to the Sutra Pills podcast. This is the place to listen to some teachings from original Buddhist sutras. A sutra a day keeps the dukkha away.
Is Dharmacakrapravartana, where Dharma or Dhamma in Pali is law, chakra is will, pravartana is motion, is the gerund of the verb prava, that is to move, to shift. And you can find this sutra in Samyutta Nikaya 56.11. Usually with the English translation like the setting, the will, motion in the law in Dharma, very complicated translated, or you can just call it the first discourse. I open a parenthesis about the word Dharma or Dhamma in Pali, which is translated law most of the time. So why is that? Because when the Tibetan territory that correspond more or less to the nowadays Tibet was a British protectorate, the first Westerner, the first British to approach the Buddhist teachings, or to be precise, the Mahayana Buddhist teachings, were either lawyer or law student. And because of their background, it was easier to translate into law. Personally, I like the translation with law, not because it's like very precise, but because it gives you like an idea to the Westerner that Buddhism teaches something serious. It's not something that was approached from the 70s on that, oh, we just try, we give a go, it's if we able to follow, it's fine. No, it's like any other discipline of philosophy. Either you try and you put an effort or not. It doesn't work that you do your life and then try to follow, for example, the Four Noble Paths that we'll discuss today. So, for today I'll do something unusual. I don't read all the sutra, but just like a couple excerpts, because it's a really, really famous sutra. It's really well known, but we can analyze deeper what actually they're teaching. Here, like they're teaching the Four Noble Truths. So the Four Noble Truths, called in Sanskrit Chatvari Arya Satyani. Chatvari is a declination of the number 4. Arya, you can guess, is noble. Why say you can guess? Because if you think like about, for example, the Second World War, you remember that Hitler used this word, the Aryan theory, they are superiors. Of course, was a misinterpretation by the Hindu civilization. But anyway, Arya means noble. And truth, that is Satya or Satyani for definition. And another parenthesis, I will open many parentheses today, is like why I'm stressing the Sanskrit original name or the Pali, because I think it's important also to get use of the original meaning, because as we say with the word Dharma, there is law, it will never be accurate with translation. So it's be at least with the main teachings, it's really good to memorize by heart the original meaning. And let's see what they are, these Four Noble Truths. We have number 1, that is true of suffering, dukkha satya, satya's truth. Number 2 is the truth about the cause of suffering, samudaya satya. Number 3, truth about the end of suffering, nirodha satya. Nirodha is also means sleep. It's like if we put to sleep this suffering, which means it's always there. Pay attention about that. It's not as like a lot of people think like, oh, we have to cancel, we delete, we extinguish. No, it will be always there. We just to put into our control. And the last point, number 4, is the truth of the method for attaining the end of suffering. So Marga Satya, which is like the Eightfold Noble Path. Marga means route. The first noble truth states that human life is characterized by stress and suffering. In a word, dukkha, which is dissatisfaction, pain, unhappiness, suffering precisely. The term used as an adjective or as a noun refers to an axle that turns badly, as implied by the prefix dus or dis in Greek, which is used for something bad, mean, or difficult. If you think about a lot of many European languages, we do have this prefix dus or dis. Think about a lot of medical terms like diagnosis, diabetes, dystoles. So basically this or dus is something negative. So we have this axle that turns badly, duk, within a hollow, and the hollow is called ka, placed at the center of the wheel. So du ka. basically is a kind of clumsy, struggling wheel that he keeping going, nonetheless fine on his route. Consider the starting point. Many people think that Siddhartha's teaching is pessimistic and nihilistic. However, I just want you to be realistic, focusing our minds on the true nature of life in changing a world. In contrast to a superficial and I will say rather silly notion in which we must focus only on the positive aspects, a denial pretending that the negative side does not exist. After his awakening, he wondered how he could teach reality to confused and deluded people. How could he explain the sufferings dependent on and originated by ignorance? From these questions arise the Four Noble Truths. The second noble truth is about desires. The desire to which gave rise to an unsatisfactory life, continue the attachment to things. So basically, the second point is understanding the cause of our suffering, which basically is craving attached to our greed. These two, crave and greed. The third noble truth is the possibility of putting an end to ignorance of this truth and thus eliminating lust, attachment, and any unsatisfactory life experiences. So basically, through the nirvana, through the extinguishers of what? Of craving and greed. So nirvana is nothing more than this, the extinguish of these two, which doesn't mean extinguish, doesn't mean as we think in our Western mind, like eliminating. It's something different. And the last one, the last Four Noble Truths, reveals that there is a path to develop deep wisdom and stable concentration. And that is the Noble Eightfold Path. In the Sutra, Gautama is in Varanasi, in the current northeastern India state of Uttar Pradesh. Addressing the group of 5 men who were accompanying him on this travel, he exclaimed his words, "There are 2 extremes that must not be indulged. The first is that of those who dedicate themselves to sensual objects. It's a low, ignoble, and vulgar extreme. The second is that of those who dedicate themselves to self-affliction and self-denial. This is also ignoble and painful. Moderation, the middle way, is what we must pursue. The path is into the Noble Eightfold Path." And let's see what is the Noble Eightfold Path, called in Sanskrit Arya Astangika Marga. So Marga, let's start with last word, is easier. Marga is the path, the route. Aryan, we say before, noble. And Astangika, or just Asta, is 8. Why I insist in give you like the Sanskrit most of the time, and sometimes like the Pali name? It seems like more an intellectual game, but it's not, because of course the translation, they are never be so accurate and precise. So at least for the core teachings in Buddhism, I will suggest it's better to memorize, to learn by heart the original authentic name or term. So Noble Eightfold Path, Arya Astangika Marga, which is divided in 3 groups. The first is wisdom, called Prajna Siksha. So Prajna is wisdom. And we have 2 points, right view, Samyak Dristi, and right intention and motivation, Samyak Samakalpa. So Samyak means right, correct, something on the right path. Sorry to be redundant. So Dristi is the verb to see. So again, we have right view, Samyak Dristi, and right intention, that is Samyak Samakalpa. The second group, we have morality, Sila Siksha. We have right speech, Samyak Vak, where we have like the verb Vad, that is like the verb for to speak, to talk. A right action, Samyak Karma Anta. You see action, karma, something to do, that is karma. Right livelihood, the last one is Samyak Ajiva, with the verb Jiva is the verb to live. And last of this group, the third one, we have meditation, Samadhi Siksha. Most of you are familiar with the word Samadhi, of course. We have 3 points here, right effort, Samyak Virya, right awareness or mindfulness, Samyak Smirti, and right concentration, Samyak Samadhi. I prefer to use the word awareness rather than mindfulness, because nowadays there is like thousands, of course, of mindful or any kind of tradition or non-tradition, because they just make up. So, and in order to avoid confusion, I will use awareness most of the time. About wisdom, so the first point, Prajna Siksha, wisdom, so which include right view, right intention. There is like 3 ways how we can attain wisdom. One is from hearing, like the Sutra. The second one is intellectual understanding, the citta. Citta in this case stands for mind. And the last is bhavana, experience. So 3 points: sutra, citta, and bhavana, the experience. And Gautama continues, this path leads to direct knowledge, to self-awakening. We must clearly understand the noble truth of stress. Being born is stressful, growing old is stressful, dying is stressful. Regret, pain, despair are all stressful. Having what you don't want is stressful. Not having what you want is also stressful. So, the Noble Eightfold Path can be seen as a way to develop the skill of concentration and a refined mental presence in a supportive context. Therefore, by abandoning ignorance, there is no longer the possibility of creating moments rooted in this ignorance caused by dukkha. In a nutshell, waking up means understanding the Four Noble Truths. There are many sutras where Gautama explains this concept. For example, Sakavibhanga or Simsapa. Each of them, they have their wrong path equivalent, except for wrong speech, wrong action, and wrong livelihood, since they are simply unwholesome modes of conduct motivated by defilement. Furthermore, there is no wrong mindfulness or awareness, because logically awareness cannot be an unwholesome thought, or you have it or not. About the word Tathagata, you came across a lot of time that we in this, especially in the first sutras, that Gautama is addressed as Tathagata. Tathagata is a common accepted term for Buddha. It's one of the most elegant words in Sanskrit. The word can be understood as both Tathagata, so meaning one who has thus gone, or Tathagata, meaning one who has thus come. In one sense, this double meaning shows that the Tathagata is beyond transitory actions like coming and going, because it's free from the human condition. This double meaning shows that the Tathagata has gone to some higher truth and come back to a more human reality in order to teach it to others. This epithet also denoted any of his Haran disciples. So basically, Tathagata is not only the so-called Buddha, the Gautama, but all his disciples that obtain enlightenment, or at least understanding that path. So, Gata, again, uses Sanskrit, comes from Gacchami, that means to go, and Agata, just put the letter A before, means to come. And that's all for today.
This has been the Sutra Pills podcast, and I am Matt Bianca. Thank you to be here and listen to me. Comments are really appreciated. Whatever you want to tell me, just make a comment, even a bad one. Of course, the most important, may you be well, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering. Bye for now.